felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
Well, guys, we are now officially 1 week into Joe Biden's presidency, and for the first time in a while, a week actually felt like a week.
Dumb cunt.
In 1 week, we've gone from insurrection to cool and collected, anarchy to no malarkey, drinking bleach to boring speech. You know, it's been a ride.
Fuck you, twerp.
And this is interesting. Even though Biden has only been on the job for 7 full days, his initial approval rating is higher than Trump's ever was.
Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert! Bullshitter alert! Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert!
Interesting. Even though Biden has only been on the job for 7 full days, his initial approval rating is higher than Trump's ever was.
Just 33% of Americans say they approve of the job the president is doing, and 54% say they disapprove of the president's job performance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure by the end, Trump's approval rating was hovering around the temperature that you have to store the Pfizer vaccine. Meanwhile, Trump was like, yeah, but if you ask militia members on the no-fly list, my numbers are through the roof.
How does Joe Biden, President Biden, compare to former President Trump in this stage of the presidency?
You know, there was always that thing, oh, Donald Trump has the lowest approval rating at this point in his presidency. We did it over and over and over and over again. Well, at this point in his presidency, Donald Trump's numbers, actually his average approval rating is 1 point higher than Joe Biden's, which is at 41%, Donald Trump at 42%. A first-term president at this point in his presidency, this is the lowest. This is the lowest for anyone who was elected to the presidency and didn't get up there through the vice presidency. This is a really, really, really bad number.
Joe Biden is now the most unpopular president in the modern era.
If you don't believe that the economy is hurting the Democrats and Joe Biden, look at the net approval rating. That's approval minus disapproval. Joe Biden at this point, minus 23 points. That is the worst on record since they started asking about economic job approval ratings back in 1978 with Jimmy Carter, who, of course, ended up the economy ate his presidency and put it to bits.
Higher than Trump's ever was.
Look at this crowd. A handful, 30 people showed up to the president's big publicized speech in New Hampshire. Can you imagine if Donald Trump held an event and only 30 people showed up?
Oh, this is fantastic. This is even better than they said it was in the brochure.
Oh, yeah, I feel like a pig, but come on, we're on vacation.
Exactly.
Right?
Don't hate yourself. We're on vacation, right?
Yeah, I hear Madonna's raising this guy's kid.
While the race for president has yet to be called, former Vice President Joe Biden has made history. He has now surpassed his former running mate, Barack Obama, for the most votes ever received.
We've gotten over 74 million votes. Let me repeat that. 74 million votes. That's more than any presidential ticket has ever gotten in the history of the United States of America. And our vote total is still growing. We're beating Donald Trump by over 4 million votes. The people voted. They voted in record numbers. More Americans voted this year than have ever voted in the history of the United States of America. Over 155 million Americans were determined to have their voices heard and their votes counted. The biggest voter turnout in the history of the United States of America. A number so big that this election now ranks as the clearest demonstration of the true will of the American people. More than 81 million of those votes were cast for me and Vice President-elect Harris. That, too, is a record. More than any ticket has received in the history of America. It represents a winning margin of more than 7 million votes over the number of votes cast for my opponent. Together, the Vice President-elect Harris and I earned 306 electoral votes, well exceeding the 270 electoral votes needed to secure victory.
You full of shit. You understand that? You full of shit.
In America, politicians don't take power. People grant power to them. One of the extraordinary things we saw this year was that everyday Americans, they did their duty in the face of a pandemic. And then they could not and would not give credence to what they knew was not true. They knew this election was overseen. It was overseen by them. It was honest. It was free. And it was fair.
What the hell did you just say?
It was honest. It was free. And it was fair.
Thank you.
Don't say that. I'll start to cry, and that wouldn't be good for my image. We don't want to. You don't want to see me cry. I'll start to cry. You know, one of the fake news broadcasters, because this happened the other day, we had a tremendous crowd, like this. I mean, we had a tremendous crowd in North Carolina. They started chanting, "We love you, we love you, we love you." And you know, it's incredible. They said, with all the years that they've been covering presidential elections, they've never heard that chant, that we love you. No, it's very nice. No, they've never heard it. We love you. We love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you.
So, if you were going to explain to somebody that hates Trump, maybe a Biden supporter, if you were going to explain to them why you support our president so strongly, what would you say?
Because he supports me, so he loves us all, so I'm going to love him. And I don't think Biden loves us. I think he loves himself and is out for his personal gain, so.
That's what everybody's saying in the audience. I don't think I hear that back home. Everybody's screaming right now.
I had a chance to ask him what he thinks when he sees a more progressive primary candidate like Elizabeth Warren on TV with a crowd in the thousands.
It depends on what the nature of the event is. What I'm trying to do is go around from town to town, and I'm drawing as bigger crowds or bigger than anybody. Have you seen anybody draw bigger crowds than me here in this state?
Yes.
Well, you have. Where?
In Des Moines.
In Des Moines?
In Des Moines. And the former vice president didn't seem to like that, because a few minutes later, he singled me out to say he thought I was going to be unfair to him no matter what, but that he can handle it because he's a big boy.
And I'm drawing as bigger crowds or bigger than anybody. Have you seen anybody draw bigger crowds than me here in this state?
Yes.
There's really not much to see. I'll step out of the way, but it's kind of boring out here. So it's not your typical presidential campaign event. We don't see people rallying outside. We don't see signs or really much of what's going on. And pretty much all the people that we saw enter into the parking lot about 45 minutes ago were with the Biden-Harris campaign and the poll reporters.
And yet, none of this has stopped baseless claims about the legitimacy of the results. Even more stunning, 17 Republican attorneys general and 126 Republican members of the Congress actually signed on to a lawsuit filed by the state of Texas. That lawsuit asked the United States Supreme Court to reject the certified vote counts in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This legal maneuver was an effort by elected officials and one group of states to try to get the Supreme Court to wipe out the votes of more than 20 million Americans in other states, and to hand the presidency to a candidate who lost the Electoral College, lost the popular vote, and lost each and every one of the states whose votes they were trying to reverse. A position that refused to respect the will of the people, refused to respect the rule of law, and refused to honor our Constitution.
Look, as an example, thousands of people in a room next door, thousands and thousands of people outside trying to get in. This big stadium is packed, always, in all fairness to Minnesota, in Las Vegas, in Missouri. You know, in Missouri, thank you. I love you too, but you're not my type.
Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Beat them for a third time.